Okay, at the time of recording this, we're having problems with getting into Python anywhere. So I'm using a different console. Sorry about the white screen. I'm just having difficulty sorting out quickly to get everything together for this week. So what we've got today is we're actually going to do a little bit of a revision, and then we're starting into our new topics. So the revision part of today's lesson is to do with the for loop. Now, we wrote programs to do polygons, and the program we used, or the command we used, was for, and then we said things like side in, and then the range of sides. So if I wanted 5 sides, I would do that statement. And remember, it must have a colon on the end. The colon on the end tells it that there's more commands to follow, so don't just immediately try this. The ... shows that this command continues from the line above. The indent, if you're in Python anywhere, you'll have to indent yourself, so you can either press tab or put in 2 spaces to indent it reasonably. And the sort of thing we can do is just print out what the side is. Which side number do we get? Now pay attention to what happens when I press, in the console. If you've got this multi-line thing going on, it will try and run the command when you give it an empty line. So mine now has done the line, and notice which numbers it's given me. It has done 5 loops, but notice where it's counted from. That's one of the big points. The next step on this is there are actually other parameters you can put into this number. So I'm now going to change this to count. So that's the variable that's being created, and the command range creates the list of numbers that we want. So if I say I want a list of numbers 2 to 10, and I display the count, when I press enter, I've got a little bit better editing capability in this thing. It's just, it's hard to get onto computers, so, or harder. So for counting range 2 to 10, it started with 2 and it went all the way to 9. You need to pay attention to those numbers. You need to be able to describe what each of these numbers are. Remember, we used to talk about being able to play with commands. So I'm going to go back, take my command again. Let's try changing these numbers and see what happens if I make this 20. And now I get an effect. I look at that effect, I see what the result is, and at this point I would be copying some of these into your document. So you should have a document here, and we're trying to put commands in. I've broken them up, so I've got a first command up the top here, where I tried doing range 2 to 10. I tried doing a range 5, so that would be valid to put in the first example. So if I select those pieces, press Control C, and then if I paste it in for the screenshot, there's my values. If it doesn't come out formatted, don't worry, that's fine. I'm not worried about the formatting. If it shows you 1, 2, 3 and ... which probably would happen if you were doing it from Python anywhere, that's fine as well. I'm just going to format this so you can see I still have my spaces, and that one should be ... Let's try console. Let's try formatting it. So if I format this so you can see the code. This is because I'm using a different editor to put things in at the moment for the Python. So there you go. That's the result of that command. I write down any notes and observations I've got about this. So notice, oh look, it counts from 0 and goes up to 1 less than that number. So those sort of notes need to go in. Notes about the range, so I copy that one in, show a few more examples than you've been given, and keep doing that all the way through. There's a couple of advanced topics ones as well. If you don't want to do it, that's fine. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a statement which says if count is 10, do the command break. Now that gives us a special feature that it will actually give us another way of stopping this loop. It is not a good way to break a program, but sometimes it's useful. So break, use as little as possible. There's another thing that we can do after the end, and it's a bit weird. It says else, and you could do a for else statement where at the end, and this is the advanced piece, at the end of that I can type in exit. Did we exit? Nicely. And when I run that one, notice the break has not done the exit nicely. So if this exits properly, normally, it will do the else. So let's try changing that to 100 so it never gets there. 100. It should never get there, and therefore it goes through the for loop completely, and then it prints out, yeah, it exited correctly. That's for loops. Second part of today's lesson is about creating lists, which are in other programming languages called arrays. And you can create a list by doing a variable name, just like creating any other variable, make it equal to, and you use the square bracket to create a list. And the list I'm going to give first is a list of animals. Cat. Bird. So I've created a variable list. I can print that out. So it shows me that it's a list. There are things that you should be picking up saying this is a list. There's definitely a list there. You can do a for. Notice the tense, the plural state of what I'm saying. I've got two things that look quite similar. I've got animals, where there's more than one, and then the variable in the for loop is the animal. So each time through the for loop, I can print out the animal that's found. And when I run it, it goes, what's the first animal? Dog. Put it in the variable animal, print out animal. Come back in, get the next variable, cat. Put it into the variable animal, print out that variable. Then the third time through it goes bird, into animal, prints it out. Okay, you get asked to do various things with them. So various prints. I can do a print animal square bracket 1. So this is saying also animals. So from the list of animals, what is there in position 1? And when you look at the result, you should realise there's something wrong. This position number is called an index. It says where in the list do you want. And it's quite surprising what can happen when you try negative numbers. So that's the outline of what you're doing in today's lesson. Please do make sure that when you're going through, you put in a screenshot showing that you've played, you've done more than what is asked in a number of places, and notes of what you've learnt by doing it. What have you observed? And there's a few goes through, and then we do a little bit about strings and playing about with strings, that you should actually realise there's something similar going on again. Okay, so just that one's just needs formatting. It's better. Okay, so that's the end of your command.